the ideas that have endured for the millennia, held up now against the life of an extraordinary life in public service, and found remarkably to be not just relevant but also necessary. As we embark on this afternoon of conversation, reflection, and celebration, may what unfolds here inspire not only a deep appreciation for the written word, but a renewed and lasting engagement with the values, questions, and the quiet truth that lies at the very heart of this remarkable work. Welcome, all of you, to what promises to be a truly memorable afternoon. So, one round of applause for you. An afternoon of this quality is only possible because of the remarkable people who chose to be a part of it. So allow me a moment to welcome them here. First and foremost, we are honored to welcome the man whose vision, reflection, and the extraordinary literary gift has brought us all here today, Dr. Anirudh Tewari. A distinguished officer of the 1990 batch of the Punjab Cadre, Special Chief Secretary cum Director General of the Mahatma Gandhi State Institute of Public Administration, and a thinker whose work bridges the timeless and the contemporary with a rare elegance. His words carry both clarity and calm, drawing from the deep intellectual and spiritual traditions to offer insights that are once relevant and enduring. This afternoon is all the more richer for his presence and his work. We welcome you here today, sir. We are also deeply privileged and proud to welcome our very own Dr. Ashok K. Chitkara, the founder of the Chitkara Educational Trust and Chancellor of Chitkara Universities, Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, a mathematician, an educator, and an institution builder of extraordinary vision. So his presence here today is not just an honor, it is the very foundation upon which this afternoon stands. Welcome, sir, and we are honored to have you here today. And now please also welcome Dr. Niyati Chitkara, the Vice President, Chitkara International Schools, Chandigarh and Panchkula, recognized by Forbes India as India's visionary edupreneur, named Education Leader of the Year by Education World India, a Bill and Melinda Gates Scholar, and a distinguished voice on global platforms. Welcome here, ma'am. And once again, a very warm and heartfelt welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for coming here to CIS Chandigarh and making this day even more special. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard about the book, we have read about the man, but there is only one person in this room who truly knows what it is meant to write it, and what he hopes to give to every reader who picks it up. It is now my distinct honor and a privilege to invite a civil servant of exceptional caliber, a thinker of rare depth, and a writer whose reflections resonate far beyond the written page. Sir brings everything here that he does and a rare synthesis of analytical precision and philosophical inquiry, a mind equally at home in the chambers of the policy and in the timeless pages of Gita and the Ramcharitmanas. Sir, this afternoon belongs to you. Can we please have the pleasure of having you here on the stage?
Good afternoon, everyone. Esteemed Chitkara sir, Dr. Chitkara, my mother, my wife, esteemed seniors, friends, members of the family of Chitkara International School, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming and gracing this occasion. It's indeed been a great honor for me. Your presence here is a source of immense encouragement and inspiration to me. And trust me, it means the world. It means the world to me. This is my second attempt at writing a book. The first one was Reflections of Ram Sewak, and the second one is titled Contemplations of Ram Sewak. As the title itself suggests, it goes a bit deeper. This book also explores the Sangam, the confluence, the meeting of the philosophies of two of India's greatest spiritual texts, Sri Ramcharitmanas and the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, as you are all very familiar with, really encapsulates the entire philosophy that is contained in the Upanishads. It sets a framework for us. And I often say that there is perhaps no question that the human mind can conceive to which the Bhagavad Gita does not have an answer. It answers every single doubt, every single question that the human mind can conceive of. That we are unable to find it is our problem. But it has solutions to everything. Ramcharitmanas, on the other hand, is another beautiful text. And I say that Tulsidas Ji did a great favor to humanity when he actually composed the Ramcharitmanas. He did two great things. One, the story of Ram, which henceforth was available in Sanskrit through Valmiki's Ramayana, he brought forth in Avdhi, which was then the lingua franca of the times. And the second, which is the more important part to me, is that what he did was that within the story, he interwove the philosophy of the Gita in it. And the way he interwove is so beautiful that you have to actually go deep into the text of Ramcharitmanas to understand it. And that to me is very important because, again, Bhagavad Gita was in Sanskrit. So what he did was he brought the story of Ram as well as the philosophy of Gita to the common masses. My endeavor here has been to bring to you all, because a lot of us are not familiar with Avdhi now, is just an attempt to give you a glimpse of what treasure lies ahead, what treasure lies in these two great texts. That has been my attempt. We talk more about the book in our conversations, and I'm sure my friend Amit has a lot of questions for me, which would help us dive deeper into the book. But this is also my opportunity to thank my readers of my first book, and those who have patronized my second book as well. I mean, they have been so kind to me. They have been so encouraging. I also would like to thank my inspiration, my guru. He is the spirit behind my thought process, my mother, to whom I dedicate this book. Her blessings have always been there for me. Of course, such endeavors, such literary works are never possible without taking a huge slice of time, of your family time. And for that, I must thank my wife, who's always been the solid support with me in all my endeavors. My children, my greatest critics, of course. And let me share with you something very interesting. The entire manuscript of both my books was first vetted by my son. And he is a university-going kid. And the reason I chose him to vet my manuscript was that if I can get my message across to somebody of his age and his intellect, then probably I can reach out to the younger generation. And he also happens to be the designer of the cover of this book. Two of my friends deserve a special mention here. One, of course, many of you might be familiar with, is Sewak, my fellow colleague. He's not here today, he's traveling. But he was the one who first encouraged me, because every time we would have a conversation on Gita and Ramcharitmanas, Seva would tell me, sir, why don't you write? And I was a very, very reluctant writer. Karan sir, trust me, I am a very reluctant writer. But Seva would always encourage me. And I think he actually then conspired with another friend, Manish Tewari, from the Daily World, the editor-in-chief of the Daily World. I was expecting him to be here. So both of them conspired, and Manish actually gave me a threat that he is going to keep a space for me on Tuesday as a column in his paper. And if I don't submit a manuscript to him, he'll keep the space blank. That threat worked. And I had to submit some text to him. And then that sort of went on and on. And both these books are actually extensions of those pieces that appear weekly in the Daily World. These are because there I have a limit in terms of the words that I can put in. But in these books, I have tried to be more detailed. I've also tried to add the explanatory references in terms of the shlokas and the chopais of the Ramcharitmanas. And I do hope that you would find them relevant as you browse through the book. But most of all, I must thank my readers. You have been great. You have been very encouraging. So thank you so much for patronizing me. And thank you so much, all of you, for coming and gracing this occasion. I do hope that you have a great afternoon and a happy reading of the book thereafter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you very much. Your words indeed have set the most beautiful tone for the day ahead. And we are deeply grateful for the honesty and the generosity with which you shared these words. Thank you so much. Can we have a huge round of applause? Sir's words have given us a window into the soul of this book. And now we have the privilege of hearing from the man whose vision gave this afternoon, this institution, its very foundation. It is now my honor to invite a leader of extraordinary distinction, a mathematician by training, an educator at heart, and an institution builder with decades of experience. Sir has shaped an educational ecosystem that stands today as the benchmark of academic excellence, of research ambition, and meaningful societal engagement. What began as a commitment to teaching evolved into the establishment of this Chitkara Educational Trust. Please give it up for Ashok K. Chitkara, sir. Can we have you here on the stage, sir?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. A very good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries and guests present today at Chitkara International School and bureaucracy of the most genius people on the earth, planet. I can see so many IAS officers out there. I'm full of heart. Thank you, sir, to come into our campus and grace it. ये कभी-कभी ऐसा चांस होता है कि you can meet all the bureaucracy at the same day, same station. So thank you very much. So for the school, for the university, for all of us, thank you very much. I would like to start about a phrase we hear often, but rarely truly understand, that nothing is impossible. Let me share a few interesting examples with you how to turn the impossibility to possibility. अगर नेल्सन मंडेला 27 साल साउथ अफ्रीका की जेल में रह के प्रेयर मान सकता है, तो जिंदगी में कुछ भी हो सकता है. If Abraham Lincoln could lose his business, suffer through deep depression, and lose countless elections, yet still rise to become the 16th president of US, then anything is possible. कुछ भी हो सकता है. If Thomas Edison could be kicked out of the school for being a slow learner and failed 10,000 times while inventing the light bulb, you still go on the light of the world. कुछ भी हो सकता है. If a man like Stephen Hawking, confined to a wheelchair and unable to move, could solve the deepest mystery of the universe, कुछ भी हो सकता है. If Nick, born without arm or legs, can rise above the struggle to motivate millions and trillions of the people across the globe, then कुछ भी हो सकता है. If Jack Ma, who was rejected from 30 different jobs, including the KFC, and was even rejected by the police, can rise and build the global empire in the world, कुछ भी हो सकता है. If Anuma Cinema could lose her leg in a tragic accident and still conquer Mount Everest with an artificial limb, then surely anything is possible. If a young boy like Elon Musk, who was once so afraid of the dark, can grow up to build up the colonies on the Mars and change the future of the space, कुछ भी हो सकता है. If Jeff Bezos can start by selling books from a small garage and grow to become the richest man on the planet, कुछ भी हो सकता है. If a college dropout like Steve Jobs could be fired from his own company, yet return to build Apple into the most valuable company in the world, कुछ भी हो सकता है. If a small town boy like Kalam Sahab, who sold newspaper in the street to support his family, could rise to become the missile man and the president of India, कुछ भी हो सकता है. These people prove that history is not written by who complain, it is written by those who have the jid stubborn to succeed, like Dr. Anirudh Tewari. So grateful to you, sir. We often think this story only exists in the movies or the dramas, but today we have a living example of this willpower right here among us. It is my great honor to welcome the Dr. Anirudh Tewari, sir. Welcome, sir. Now, Dr. Anirudh Tewari is the Director General of the Mahatma Gandhi State Institute of Public Administration, Government of Punjab. We all know that demanding the life of a senior IAS officer is the most people would say they have no time for anything else. But he proved the impossibility to is just a word used by those who fear to dream big. Despite this massive responsibility, look at his passion for learning. He took on the challenge of learning one of the world's most difficult language, that is Chinese. And Chinese start कराने वाले लकड़ी डॉक्टर करतार जी आज बैठे हैं यहाँ पर. तो मैं सर को पहले जानता नहीं था, मैम जानती थी. तो सर चाइना गए थे, चाइना से एक बुक लेके आए. तो उन्होंने किसी कुलीग से पूछा, यार कोई चाइनीज पढ़ाने वाला है? तो शायद कोई किसी आईएएस ने बताया, ये शोक से प्यारा है, वो फ्रेंच पढ़ रहा था, मेरी लड़की 9th में थी, उनसे पता करो. तो देन ही स्पोक टू भाई मैम कि कर्मचारी आपको मिलना चाहते हैं. आई वेंट टू हिज ऑफिस उद्योग भवन. तो उन्होंने मुझे बुक दिखाई कि यार ये बुक मैं चाइनीज है. तो मैं कहा सर मैं तीसरा लेवल अभी पास कर रहा है, 3 बार फेल हुआ और मेरे मैक्सिमम 251 नंबर आए. तो वो कहते यार चाइनीज मुझे पढ़नी है. मैं कहा सर पढ़नी है या एग्जाम देना है, फेल होना है? कहना एग्जाम भी देना है, फेल भी होना है. मैं सर मुझे फेल होना बड़ा पसंद है. कहना मुझे बड़ा पसंद है. तो मैं सर बोलो कब सेवा बताओ. मुझे सेवा की मुझे मौका मिलेगा कि इतने बड़े जीनियस आदमी साथ में बैठा. आई यूज्ड टू गो टू ट्वाइस इन ए वीक. शाम को मीटिंग खत्म करके 6 बजे हम लोग चाइनीज पढ़ने शुरू करें. और सर वेंट तो पेपर थे इसमें लंदन में, बीजिंग में, या पेपर था बॉम्बे. ही वेंट टू बॉम्बे टू get his HS1 Hanoi shopping machine level 1. He got 200 out of 200. Thank you, sir. तो उसी उद्योग भवन में अनिरुद्ध तिवारी सर, अमित ढाका सर, डी.के. तिवारी सर, अर्शदीप दिन सर लकड़िया बैठे हैं हम पर, ये सब लोग वहीं थे. तो इनको एक दिन पता चला कि ये सब चाइनीज पढ़ रहा है, तो इन्होंने कहा हमने क्या पाप करा है, अगर आप पढ़ सकते हो हम नहीं पढ़ सकते, तो इन्हें क्यों नहीं पढ़ सकते, पढ़ो। फिर हम लोगों ने रफली 2-3 ढांचे लगाए। अनुरुद्ध तिवारी साहब ने भी लेवल 2 पास करे, DK तिवारी सर ने भी लेवल 2 पास करे, अमित ठाकर सर ने भी लेवल 2 पास करे, और लकली दिन सब बैठे हैं यहाँ पर, इन्होंने भी। तो दे यूज्ड टू कम टू माय ऑफिस थर्सडे एंड सैटरडे, एंड वी नो मोबाइल एट दैट टाइम, वी रीड ओनली चाइनीज, चाइनीज करेक्टर इनको सिखाए, एंड दे ऑल वेंट टू बॉम्बे टू गिव द एग्जामिनेशन 1 and 2 to पुणे। मैं हैरान हो गया कि एक इम्पॉसिबल लोग कहते हैं आई एम पॉसिबल, ये हमारे पास जीते जाते एग्जाम्पल है। आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल टू देम कि मुझे मौका मिला इनके साथ बैठा, इनसे हजारों बातें मैंने सीखी डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली, और कोई ऐसा दिन था कि जिस दिन क्लास मिस हुई हो। तो लकी साहब यहाँ पर बैठे, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, ग्रेटफुल सर। और फिर इनकी कॉपियाँ देखो, आज भी मैंने इस तरह से कहा, तो पीछे में करण सर से मिला, तो उन्होंने मुझे पुरानी कॉपी दिखाई। तो मेरे पास कैमरा नहीं होता मोबाइल, आई डोंट कीप मोबाइल, तो अदरवाइज मैं फोटो खैर के अपने पास एक रिकॉर्ड रखता, मैं ट्रेजर रखता। तो इन्होंने पूरी, जैसे बच्चे कॉपी नहीं बनाते वैसी कॉपी बना रखी, गत्ता साफ, कॉपी साफ, पूरे अक्षर लिखने, फिर बोलने, फिर किताबें रखी हमने, किताबों से मुझे पढ़वाना, सर बोलो क्या पढ़ना है, पहले तू पढ़, तो लाइक दैट तो चाइनीज सीखी, तो कुछ भी हो सकता। ये तो शूज है, जो काम बंदे ने करने वाले 1000 तरीके हैं और ना करने वाला 1000 क्या करोड़ तरीके मैं नहीं कर सकता। ये चीज मैंने लोगों से सीखी। नॉट इवन सिंगल डे ठीक कोई बिजी हो, CM साहब ने बुला दिया, तो देन ही वेंट टू सी मैं इमीडिएटली कम बैक। He specially went to the Pune and Mumbai to appear for the HSK level 1 and level 2 examination and pass 4 level with the full marks। ऑलमोस्ट जितने नाम दिए हैं ये सभी पूरे नंबर, फुल नंबर है। मेरे फुल नंबर नहीं थे, मेरे 153 थे, इनके 200 नंबर थे। तो ये मेरे लिए बड़ी बात थी, जब बच्चा की टीचर कहते हैं मेरे स्टूडेंट आगे निकल जाए। तो जब हम क्लास हम बैठते थे, आते थे, तो हम लोग चाइनीज बोलते थे, निहाओ, निशान दिहाओ माँ, ना हो, चाय पीते थे, फिर ऐसे वर्ड बोलते थे। फिर उनको मैं करेक्टर सिखाया करता था, क्योंकि मैंने मैथ्स का टीचर हूँ, तो करेक्टर मैंने ऐसे पढ़े, इनको करेक्टर सिखाए। तो अंडरस्टैंड है कि ये खुद ही मेरे से होशियार हो गए थे कि यार नहीं ये इसका वर्ड ये होगा, तो ये निशान ये है, लाइक दैट। कि आपस में ये बैठते थे आपस में, तो मैं तो मिल नहीं सकता इनके साथ। तो ये लोग जब आपस में बैठते थे मैं तो देखते क्या ठीक बोलते हैं। तो ये एक मेरे लिए बड़ा ऑनर था। उस टाइम सारे काम छोड़ो, भाई चाइनीज क्लास होगी। सो थैंक यू सर, गिव मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी। करण सर थैंक यू, DK तिवारी सर बैठे, थैंक यू सर, सर थैंक यू सर। If a man with such a busy schedule can master a foreign language with such a precision and dedication, of course, surely sir, कुछ भी हो सकता है। He has always been a learner. He once took a 3-hour session at the College of Punjab on the spiritual and education. Non-stop. इन्होंने कहा था भाई लेक्चर जो मेरा घंटे का होगा, पर लेक्चर वेंट फॉर 3 hours। मैं तो इन्हीं को देखता रह गया, सारी संस्कृत याद, सारे श्लोक याद, सारे वो याद। तो हमारे टीचर भी कहने लगे, सर से पूछो सर ने क्या खाया है कि श्लोक याद है संस्कृत। तो मैंने कहा भाई आप मिल जाओ टीचर से, जितना 3 घंटे का लेक्चर फुल स्टॉप चला कैंपस के अंदर, हमने रिकॉर्ड कराया हुआ है। He has shown us that being a successful is not just about the work role but about our inner spirit। जैसे सर बोल रहे थे, ये कुछ भी हो सकता है। If he can balance high-level professional tasks with such deep spiritual thinking, then surely sir, कुछ भी हो सकता है। Then comes the biggest academic challenge for 3 long years, that is 1095 days of constant hard work। He focused on the PhD done at Chicago University। ये हमारे अलमनाई में है, और DK तिवारी सर भी हमारे अलमनाई है। एक बार ही कह लगे सर हमें PhD करनी है, तो मैं सर हम बैठे सेवा में। तो देन DK तिवारी सर ने नोट करा, इनकी हर महीने क्लास होती थी एक हफ्ते की, और हर महीने ये हमारे कैंपस में होता था। खैर मैं तो वहाँ नहीं था, मेरी क्लास दूसरी होती थी, पर सर पूरी एक ही क्लास सर ने अटेंड करी, एक ही क्लास अटेंड करी. आफ्टर कंप्लीटिंग 3 hours, now Dr. D.K. Tewari is also with us today, and he is the alumni of the Chittagong University. He completed his full PhD. A grateful sir. सर कुछ भी. Similarly, फिर then सर से बात हुई, तो मैं सर के घर गया था, चीफ सेक्रेटरी. तो मैंने कहा चीफ सेक्रेटरी पर टाइम कहाँ होगा, तो मैंने कहा सर ऐसे 5 मिनट के लिए हो. मैं अपना गाइड साथ ले गया. इन्होंने 3 घंटे 6 बार में चाय पिलाई, और सारी इन्होंने जो इनके थीसिस का बीच में जिस था वो उनको हमारे गाइड को सुना दिया. वो कहता सर ये इज ऑलरेडी पीएचडी, इनको तो ये कुछ पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो मैंने कहा भैया पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, पर वो बंदे ऐसे बंदे हैं, प्रिंसिपल के बंदे हैं, वो तो तुम्हारे कान खा जाएगा डेली. तो वही हो, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस चलती रही. पूरे एग्जैक्टली 3 साल के बाद जो वाइवा लेने इनका बंदा आया था, उसे आँख खड़ा कर दिया, तिवारी साहब बहुत है, बहुत है. तो इन स्पाइट ऑफ बीइंग ए चीफ सेक्रेटरी ऑफ द स्टेट, 3 साल मतलब 1995 डेज, 24 hours talking with the guide every day, Saturday, Sunday, completed his PhD. So now he is also the alumni of our university. So grateful. ये हमारे रोल मॉडल है हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर, क्योंकि जब हमारी कैंग की मीटिंग होती है, अब इनको हम लोग प्रेजेंट करते हैं, वहाँ पे नाम बताते हैं, ये लोग हैं, नाउ दे विल बी को गाइड वेरी सून, ताकि इनके जो एकेडमिक जो है दैट शुड गो ऑन, और इनके चरण हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ते रहे. जैसे आज हमारे ब्यूरोक्रेसी के चरण स्कूल में पढ़े हैं, स्कूल भी वॉश हो गया, एकदम स्कूल स्वच्छ हो गया आज कि इतने इंटेलिजेंट लोग हमारे कैंपस में आए. थैंक यू सबके लिए. The topic of his PhD evolved around how to help our farmer and protect our environment through the better crop management. He did not just do for a title, he did it with a pure dedication and a heart that want to help the society. If a senior leader can put in thousands of hours to become a student again and earn his doctorate degree, then surely, sir, कुछ कर सकते. And finally, about his exemplary, he has written 2 spiritual books, A Reflection of Ram Sewak, and latest one, Contemplations of Ram Sewak. We loved his first book, Reflection of Ram Sewak, which brought together the Gita and the Ramcharitamanas. And today we are here for the launch of second edition of new book, Contemplation of Ram Sewak, that is bridging ancient wisdom and the modern life. If he can find time and peace to write such masterpieces while managing such huge responsibility, then sir, kuch ho sakta hai. His journey proves success is not a full stop, it is a comma. कई बार तो मैंने कर दिया सब कुछ, ये नहीं पढ़ा. Only 20% people read after the graduation or the post graduation, but he is one of them. और जिन्होंने चाइनीज पढ़ी, they are one of them. Salute to them कि इतने बड़े लेवल का एग्जाम पास करने पर जीनियस होने के बाद भी टाइम निकालते हैं चाइनीज लिखनी, चाइनीज बोलनी वगैरह वगैरह लाइक दैट, और एग्जाम देने जाना. मैंने कहा सर मैं अगर मेरे साथ पढ़ना है, मुझे तो फेल होना बड़ा शौक है. कहते हम भी फेल हो रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं. और इनके सबके 200 नंबर आए. Credit goes to them. Thank you very much and their family. The journey must continue. Dr. Anirudh Tewari did not stop at work responsibility. He reached his wisdom. He proved that it is not but those who complain, but those who are stubborn about their goal. इनको जिद, yes I can do it. आपको हिस्ट्री लिखने के लिए, अपनी हिस्ट्री लिखने के लिए कोई आपको कलम पेंसिल नहीं चाहिए. आपको चाहिए विश्वास, क्योंकि विश्वास हमेशा आगे देखता है, दुख हमेशा पीछे देखता है, चिंता हमेशा आले दुआले देखती है. तो जिस दिन बंदे को ये जितने मैंने आपको हिस्ट्री सुनाई है, जिसको पता लग चल जाए मैं कर सकता हूँ, तो 90% तक काम तो तेरे पैसे वेल डन हो गए. ये मेरी फिलॉसफी है. तो इसलिए अपनी अगर आपने हिस्ट्री लिखनी है, तो हिस्ट्री लिखने के लिए सिर्फ आपको कलम पेंसिल की लोड़ बिल्कुल नहीं है. आप अपने मुंह से कह दो यस आई कैन डू, ओके डन. भगवान कहता तथास्तु. Dr. Tewari, your life is a message that कुछ भी हो सकता है आज के बाद. But we must remember one thing: no one reached this height alone. All these achievements, HSK examination, the PID, the books were made possible because of love and the support of his wonderful family. A tree grows tall only when roots are strong, and we know that your family has been that solid foundation for you. On behalf of all of us, we want to say that we don't just welcome a great officer today, we welcome the values and the family support that made you the man you are today. We are so honored to have you here, sir. Your journey is a leader, as a leader and a writer, is an inspiration to every one of us. We pray to God you may spread your knowledge and wisdom in the same way that you have been doing through your various initiatives. We pray that God bless you and your family with a great health, a very long life, and a lot of happiness. Our most sincere regard to your respective family member. अंत में बस मैं इतना ही कहूँगा, मंजिल उन्हीं को मिलती है, मंजिलें उन्हीं को मिलती हैं, इनके सपनों में जान होती है, पंखों से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसलों से उड़ान होती है. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of the entire Chitakara fraternity, I welcome you all once again here, sir. We are eager to hear your thought and learn how to bridge ancient wisdom with our modern life. Thank you so much, sir. The stage is yours now. Kindly help. Sir, सबसे पहले भी आप मेरी साइन करो so that I can keep in my museum. Kindly, sir, आइए. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for all of you, and big standing ovation for our sir or this great initiative. हम लोग इकट्ठा करने के source with the family, with the colleagues, with the friend and senior bureaucrats, सारे सब लोग यहीं पे हैं. Thank you very much, sir. Once again,
Thank you so much, sir.
दिल से धन्यवाद, sir.
She just reminds me of us now. Release the
First of all, can we have a huge round of applause for Dr. Ashok Tewari? Sir, indeed, you are an inspiration to all of us, and both of you, thank you. And now is the moment for the ceremonial book release of Contemplations of Ram Sewak. May I please invite on stage Mrs. Prem Tewari, Mrs. Tuhina Tewari, Dr. Vivek Gulati, Mr. Amit Sharma. Can we please have you all here on stage? Dr. Niyata Chitkara, ma'am, please. Can we have a louder cheer for all of them?
Books, sir. No, book.
The book is now in the world. Can we have a huge round of applause for that? Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to explore the ideas, the questions, and the quiet wisdom that make it what it is. To lead us through this journey ahead, may we please welcome here, can we have a huge round of applause for none other than Mr. Amit Sharma.
That was a very, very inspiring speech, and it's a very interesting audience. But I'll have to take you a step back. So just take a deep breath and allow me to don't throw stones at me right now, because I want to start from a point where I'll probably be taking you 2 steps back in your life and make you wonder that if you ever ask the question, "Mere saath hi kyun hota hai?" So I'm going on a completely different tangent. This book somehow starts from that point, and it culminates, the crescendo comes at where Sir was, that anything is possible. So while I dive into instead of me diving into the book, I'd rather ask Sir that why don't you just quick, so before I actually get into the details of the book, why don't you tell us how the name came about? Because it's the same name, which is similar to the previous book. So why don't you just give some brief on that, please?
Thanks, Amit. Thank you, Kanasa, for that beautiful presentation and very kind words that you had for all of us. Ram Sewak is actually the name of my father. And both these books are my tribute to him. Unfortunately, we lost him almost 50 years to the day. It was May 1976 that we lost him. He was a great devotee of Lord Ram. And I remember one of the last acts that he performed in his lifetime was organizing a 24-hour part of Ramcharitmanas. And I'm sure if he would have been alive today, he would have penned these books himself. So I'm probably just finishing some of his unfinished task. And that is why I always felt while writing these books that he was writing them through me. And when the opportunity came to me to write this column, I actually used his name to write the column in the World also. And trust me, whenever I start writing a chapter, I pray for his blessings and I receive them. And I do believe that wherever he is, I mean, he is the inspiration for us. Many of you who would have visited me in office have sometimes asked me about a photograph that's always on my table. That's my father's photograph. So both these books are actually a tribute to him. Ram Sewak is his name, and he was actually a true Sewak of Lord Ram.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So now when I look at the book, it's organized into 3 distinct Gitas. And that's the Lakshman Gita, the Purajan Gita, the Kaka Pashundi Gita, and then we've merged it into Bhagavad Gita. So can you give us a quick brief about what was the logic behind this, and how did you go about, are there in a sequence from Vasada to Bhakti with that order, or what was the reasoning behind the selection and then the chronology that you beautifully followed?
As I mentioned, both these books are my exploration of the philosophical intersection of the two great spiritual texts, Ramcharitmanas and Bhagavad Gita. And the first time I sort of stumbled, I would use that word, stumbled into discovering this intersection was when I read a chopai in Bal Kand, the first Kand of Ramcharitmanas. I think the chopai is 121, Doha number 121. It says, जब जब होए धर्म के हानि बाढ़े असुर अधम अभिमानी करे अनीति जाए नहीं बरनी सीधे विप्र धेनु सुरधरनी तब तब प्रभुधर मनुज श्रीरा हरे दयानिधि सज्जन पीरा. Translated, it means that whenever there is a decline in dharma, whenever the immoral people do acts which are against order, the Lord incarnates to establish dharma. And I said, well, haven't I heard this earlier? Haven't I heard it in Bhagavad Gita? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharat abhyuthanamadarvasmit atmanashyamyam paritrana sadhuna vinashaya tushtam dharma sansthapanaya sambhavami yuge yuge. And yes, I said, this is a commonality. Are there more? And then I started on. And so initially I sort of started looking at few dohas, few chopais, which were sort of reflecting the same philosophical thought. So if you look at it this way, the beauty of these two scriptures is that, one, Bhagavad Gita was Lord Krishna's message. Lord Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga. Ramcharitmanas tells us the story of Ram and the message that he gave. That came in Treta Yuga. So if you look at it this way, these are two different avatars talking to us. But the message is the same. That is one beauty of our spiritual traditions. The second, if you look at it from the literary perspective, Bhagavad Gita is part of the Mahabharata epic, which was compiled sometimes during 1500 BC. That's the age, that's the date line that's ascribed to it. Ramcharitmanas was composed by Tulsidasi during the reign of Akbar, sometimes around the late 16th century, about 1580, 1590. So these two texts are separated by about 3,000 years. Now, look at it this way, that the spiritual tradition continues, the philosophical thread continues unbroken. There are no printing presses, there are no books which are being printed in there. It's just the word of mouth, the Guru Shishya Parampara that is carrying the philosophical traditions and the huge continuity that exists. Now, that's the beauty of it. Now, subsequently, I started looking at conversations, because conversations are very important in our spiritual heritage. So during those, I found that these are three beautiful conversations that came out. The first one is between Lakshman and Nishadraj. Now, this is called Lakshman Gita. Now, these are not really termed as such, but subsequent scholars, Tulsidasi never classified them as such, but subsequent scholars have done that. Gita really means rhyming, Geet. So whenever shloks or chopais rhyme, they are termed as Gita. So Lakshman Gita is a conversation between the king of the boatmen, Nishadraj, and Lakshman. It's on the second day of the exile of Lord Ram. The second is Purjan Gita. Purjan means citizens. Pur ke Jan. Pur city, Jan is citizens. Purjan Gita. This is Lord Ram's message as king of Ayodhya to the citizens of Ayodhya. That's again a very beautiful composition which talks not only about how to live life now, but how to worry about life thereafter. So he gives a very beautiful framework. And one of my favorite chopais there is very interesting. I hope I can recall it. It says, Nahi aniti, nahi kachu prabhutai. Nahi aniti, nahi kachu prabhutai. I'm sorry, I'm just missing it out. But what it says is that I am neither going to say to you anything which is inappropriate, nor I am going to say to you anything with authority. But what I am going to tell you is, you listen, and you absorb it, and then do as it would, what pleases you. So the liberal tradition of our thought starts from there. I mean, even at that time, as a king, Lord Ram gave his citizens that privilege to hear him and then decide for themselves what they think was fit. And the third, of course, is a conversation between Kag Bhushandiji, who's the king of the crows, a crow, a state crow, and the king of birds, Garud. That is about the dispelling the delusion of Garud by Kag Bhushandiji. Another perspective here, if you look at it, is look at this thing. In the same text, you have conversations between birds on philosophy. You have conversations between a king and his subjects, and you have conversations between a prince and the king of boatmen. What barriers are we transcending here? That is again, tells us the strength of the philosophy that we have, that in our heritage, spiritual heritage, philosophy knew no barriers. Now, a lot of times we have this misconception as if our philosophical tradition was meant for the elite. It was not. It transcended even barriers of the form that you are in. Even birds could have access to that philosophy. And it was these three conversations which inspired me and which formed the sort of meat of this book.
That's very interesting. That brings me to the next part, which is the first chapter. Now, Lord Rama and Arjun both are very, very powerful men of their times. Mm-hmm. And it seems both of them have are on their knees and in a state of mind where they are
Nishad.
I'm saying Nishad.
Nishad and
Nishad.
Arjun.
Sorry, yeah. So
not Lord Rama.
No, I'm saying sorry, yeah. But even Lord Rama is in a bad patch. It's like while he's educating, he comes to equanimity from a third person point of view. The guy who's addressing the issue and says, I feel that this is happening and this is bad. Both these powerful men are in a position of discomfort, unease, where therefore the Visada originates. Is it a doorway of sorts for any philosophy to enter or knowledge to enter? Is it like, do you think, is this the mandatory knock on the door to get for people to be able to absorb the knowledge or life? How does it work?
A despondent Arjun pleads to Lord Krishna and Gita, and we open this book also with a chapter of Vishad where Nishad Raj, you see, he expresses this despondency to Lakshman. He laments that why is Lord Ram suffering this way? That's how this book opens.
Yes.
I won't really say that despondency is the sine qua non for wisdom. I won't say that, but yes, in some ways it does open a doorway for knowledge. Now, we have examples of other Gitas also where the conversations. See, the important point that I mentioned Amit last time also was in the previous question also was that conversations play a very important role in our spiritual heritage. And most of the wisdom that humanity has received is through these conversations. When seekers have asked questions from their gurus, from avatars, when they have sought clarity, that is the time when wisdom has flowed to humanity. Whether it was the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita. Now it's called the Srimad Bhagavad Gita because it came from the Lord himself, Bhagavad, God. Srimad Bhagavad, that's why it's called Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Lakshman Gita because it's been coming from Lakshman. We also have what's called Ashtavakra Gita. Ashtavakra Gita is a conversation between King Janak and the saint Ashtavakra. Again, a beautiful conversation on Vedanta. We also have the Guru Gita, which is a conversation between Ma Parvati and Lord Shiva. We also have, Sri Ram Gita within Ramacharitamanus and Vibhishan Gita also. So there are different this thing, and these conversations have not happened out of despondency. These have happened out of curiosity, out of inquisitiveness. The key here is not despondency, but the key is delusion. The problem is that despondency also occurs on account of delusion.
ignorance. And the questions that have been asked, whether by King Janak or by Lakshman of Sri Ram in Sri Ram Gita, or by Vibhishan from Sri Ram in Vibhishan Gita, they have all been questions of inquisitive seekers. And they all relate to more delusion. And that delusion really comes from two things. The delusion comes because of what is we called as the Maya. The potency of the Lord to create that. Now, Maya again is sort of two kinds of Maya that the scriptures explain. One is called what is called the Vidya Maya. Vidya Maya is the creation. For example, this creation itself, everything here that you see, is all an illusion. And the second is the illusion of I, me, mine, my house, my car, my phone, my brother, my family. This illusion of I, me, my, you, yours. I like to give an example here. A lot of times we say, this is my house, my house. But subsequently, you change your house. So does that house still remain yours? It belongs to somebody else then. Somebody else has bought it or somebody else has rented it. We check into a hotel and we tell you, Amit, come to my room. It's room number 305, right? Next day we check out. Does 305 still belong to you? Is it still your room? No. Another thing, probably if you look at it this way, there are so many lizards, spiders, ants who also live in our house, right? What would they be saying in their world to each other? Come to my house, have a feet. So whose ownership are we talking about? And similarly, the delusion, which is called, the biggest delusion is your Dehabhiman, that I am this body. Is this body yours? How did you get this body? How did you get this body? I mean, how does your ownership come here? How does the ownership come here? Is it a gift from your parents? But then, did they own that body before they gifted it to you? A lot of difficult questions. So the point here is that those questions that you mentioned have come from seekers who have sought to look beyond that. There's a very famous conversation, and I must mention here, which is on the Kathopanishad, which is between Nachiket and Lord Yama, the Lord of Death. That's a beautiful conversation again about afterlife and the real identity of the self. So you have to really try and understand that you are beyond this. Because if you are this body, then what happens when you leave this body? Somebody just sort of cremates it. Then where is your ownership?
Impression there.
Where is your ownership? So I won't say despondency is the doorway. Sometimes it does, but the moot point is the eradication of delusion.
Well, thank you. That clarifies. And I'll quickly transition to the action mode of karma, karma. So you've introduced three kinds of, broad categorization of karma. And when I was thinking that there is a past karma which has happened, then there is an existing one, and then there's an agami karma which is yet to have, which will create my future. And at different stages of life, does it mean that there are different areas I need to pay attention to? Or for this broader audience, which is primarily all working class, how does it play into our life? The concept of understanding the three karmas and the three, how do we incorporate that in a living schedule, so to say? And you have to introduce the concept of the three versions as well.
Yeah. Most of us have been introduced to the theory of karma through that famous shlok 2.47 of the Bhagavad Gita, karmane vadikaraste ma phalishu kadachan ma karmaletrona mati samgusta karmani. Now, I'm sure all of you would, or most of you would know the translation of this, that you only have the right to do karma, you don't have the right to the fruits. And second, that the fruit of your action should not either be the motivation for your action or the motivation for your inaction. So that's what this shlok means. Now, Tulsidas ji, what he has done is he has dealt the subject of karma in a very, very nice fashion in the entire Ramastmanas. So some of the chapais that he narrates, and my favorite actually, which to my mind is the one that encapsulates the entire Lakshman Gita is Kahu na ko sukh dukh kar data nij pit karma bhog sab bhrata. It's my favorite, कि कोई किसी को सुख नहीं देता, कोई किसी को दुख नहीं देता, हर इंसान अपना कर्म फल भोगता है। सो कोई इंसान किसी को कुछ नहीं देता, कोई इंसान किसी से कुछ लेता नहीं है, हर इंसान अपना कर्म फल भोगता है। And of course, thereafter, Tulsidas also writes 2-3 very different chapais, which is one of them is कर्म प्रधान विश्व कर राखा, जो जस करी सो तस फल चाखा। कर्म ही प्रधान है इस विश्व में, जो जैसा करता है उसको वैसे मिलता है। और करी सो कर्म पाव फल सोई, निगम नेति कह सब कोई, कि जो जैसा कर्म करेगा सो ही उसका फल मिलेगा। Now, the obvious flow from here is that Ram ji did not do any karma that merited an exile for him. So why did he get? और वहां पे तुलसीदास जी बहुत अच्छा एक दोहा लिखते हैं कि और करे अपराध को और पाए फल भोग, अति विचित्र विरंच गति को जग जाने जोग। कि अपराध कोई करता है, फल कोई पा रहा है, विधाता की गति बड़ी अजीब है कि कैसे होता है सब कुछ। So here comes the concept of the 3 karmas that you said. Of course, Lord Ram is beyond karmas. He very clearly says that although he does karma in his avatar, but he is beyond karma. He's karmatit. He's karmatit, he's dvandvatit, he's gunatit. He's sarvatit, he's transcended all these gunas, karmas, and I mean, it's a slightly deeper thing, but I'll try to explain it to you in short. So the 3 different karmas are, one is what is called the sanchit karma. Sanchit is what you have accumulated over your lifetimes. And these are the karmas which will ultimately determine what form you will take. And what lies ahead in this life for you. It's like a balance. It's like you have so many karmas. So Amit, you are offered that either you become Amit Sharma with this life or you become XYZ with this life. So this is your choice. So you actually pick up your this thing. So that stands true for with the chopai, which says kari so karam karam. Sorry, the first one, kahu na ko sukh dukh kar data, because you have chosen that life for yourself based on your sanchit karma. When you sort of assume this form. And the second is what is called prarabdha. Prarabdha are those karmas which get activated based on what the life that you have chosen. So in that life that you chose, your prarabdha was that you will either undergo these kind of joys or these kinds of sorrows. This is what you will have in this life. And the third is what is called sanchit karma. Agami karma. Agami karma is what you are doing right now. Now, these are the karmas which are going to decide what will happen to you subsequently. Now, people who study the Gita often ask this question that then how do you sort of end this cycle of karmas and get out of this cycle of life and birth, death? Because otherwise, तो ये होता रहेगा कि आप कर्म करते रहेंगे, and based on that, you will continue to get in this cycle. Now, Lord Krishna gives us the answer to this question in Gita itself, when he says that if you do selfless karma, if you are not attached to the fruits of the karma, you are doing karma just for the sake of doing karma. You are not concerned about the outcome of that. Then you are not responsible for the fruits of that action. Hence, those will not get into your account of sanchit karma. And once you are going to do your agami karmas, which do not affect your sanchit karma, at some stage it's all going to get to zero. And that's what a lot of people aim to be, what's called moksha.
And that brings me to I've made some notes on this one because I wanted to put this entire theory right on the Moha. In Moha, Lakshman tells Nishadraj that everything we see, hear, or think, union, separation, wealth, adversity, has its root in Moha or delusion. Shri Krishna goes further in Gita and he tells that the people in our lives, the world around us, our circumstances, all are fetters of the mind, delusions born out of ignorance. So this instruction is clear, that endeavor to realize the truth and focus on the soul. And he happens to be, the all cap he, is the absolute truth. But for people like us, how does that add up? I mean, not as a philosophy, but as a practice, how do we live it?
Gita is comprised. Gita contains 700 shlokas. But if someone were to ask me to sort of summarize it in 3, I would pick 3 shlokas out of it. The first one is 2.47, which is Karmane Vadikaraste Ma Parishukadachana. The second one is very important, which is 11.33. 11.33 is the shlok which comes somewhere in the, towards the closing of the chapter where Lord Krishna actually shows his Virat Roop to Arjuna, where he uses a very, very important word for Arjuna and tells Arjuna, just become a nimitta matra. Just become an instrument. Nimitta matra is the word. And the third, of course, for me, important one is 18.66, where he finally tells, which is the Charam Shlok and the final Shlok of the Gita, where after sort of Lord Krishna doesn't say anything and it's just the closing, then the next 12 shlokas are just the closing shlokas, where he says, Sarv Dharman Paritajya Mamekam Shatam Raj, Aham Tva Sarpape Bhyo Mokshishami Mashucha. Sabhi dharmon ko taj ke मेरी शरण में आ जा, मैं तेरे को सभी पापों से मुक्त कर दूंगा. It's a beautiful shlok, and I can talk for hours on this shlok itself. It's the finest shlok in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Now, I would pick up the word nimitta matra here, that the way we should sort of be looking at things is just consider yourself to be an instrument of his will. The problem is that we don't become the instruments of his will, rather through our prayers, we want him to become the instrument of our will. You know, all our prayers, we say, yaar, mera ye kar do, mera ye kar do, mera ye kar do. We want him to become the instrument of our will. We don't want to become the instruments of his will. That is how we should be looking at becoming what is called a nimitta matra. You know, Gita gives us 3 different pathways. 3 different pathways to live life. The first is Karma Yoga. And in Karma Yoga, it is just do action, just do your karma without looking at the fruits. The second is what's called Gyan Yoga. And in Gyan Yoga is a bit difficult one, because there the concept of Drishta comes in, where you have to sort of separate yourself and look at your own actions from a distance. That's a bit difficult for people like us to sort of practice. And the third one is Bhakti Yoga, which is my favorite, which is surrender everything to him. Bhakti is the one where everything is just surrender to his will. Do everything for him, everything according to his will. But again, as I said, that we tend to, want him to act as per our will rather than us acting as per his will.
So I'm going to come back to Karma for a second, because so you speak about Paristhiti and Manusthiti, and why I come back is because this is directly related, connected. Shri Ram went through a tumultuous time, but he was able to manage his internal world pretty all right. How do we come to that stage where you just mentioned that become nimitta matra? Because there's an effort required, but it has to be in the Manusthiti. So there are 3 parts to the question. First, the explanation of Paristhiti, Manusthiti, and then how do we get to what are the actionable steps for us that you think we can do, per scriptures or per your experience, to get to that point?
I purposely use these 2 words, Paristhiti and Manusthiti, in that chapter. Paristhiti is circumstances. Circumstances comprise people, place, time, objects. Those are not under your control. Paristhiti is never under your control. Either of these 4 elements, something will be out of your control. The only thing which is in your control is your man sthiti. Aapke man ki sthiti kya hai? How you act and how you react to a situation. That is where you come in. Now, since you asked about your daily life, I think what you need to do is you need to be in control of your man sthiti. You are responsible only for your actions. And as I mentioned earlier also in the first topic also, that, kahu na kahu sukh dukh kar data was, nijkrit karam bhog sabata, take responsibility for your actions. Because, a lot of times what we do is we try to blame the others for, hamara dukh hai to uska ye zimmewari hai. Agar hame sukh hai to meri apni karni. No, you are responsible for your own. Similarly, it is your own mansthiti which is very important for it. You are important. You are sort of responsible for it. As far as scriptures are concerned, whether it is the Vedas, whether it is the Upanishads, they gave us some kind of a theoretical framework on how to live. They gave us a philosophy of life. Now, these two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, essentially guide us on how to live life. Ramayana, to my mind, tells us how to live life, what to do. Mahabharata teaches us most of the time what not to do. That is also important. Mahabharata tells us what not to do. Ramayana is, of course, a classic. How should one lead life? And the beauty of these scriptures is that the theoretical framework that was given to us in the Vedas or the Upanishads, it's not that this was just a theoretical framework, but in these avatars, we sort of get to know that this is possible. You can do it. You can live by it. And as people who are in this world living a normal life, I think what we also need to be careful about is how we act and react based on the situations. Lord Ram kept his reactions under check. When he was told that he would be anointed a prince, next day he was not very ecstatic about it. When he was told he go to exile, he was not despondent about it. Ram was never despondent about it. He never cribbed about it. He never sulked about it.
I totally understand.
Yeah, he sort of just took it as a mission. He just took it as a mission. I mean, he took it as a mission, and he just went about doing things normally. But he was committed to upholding the values of dharma. Now, dharma, of course, is again a word which I'm very fond of, talking about a lot on. But that would come someday, some other time, But yeah.
So I'll bridge from here to Acharan, which is another area which I wanted to check was so in 7.46.3, Shri Ram delimits the conduct that makes a bhakt dear to him. And then there are some things listed like no enmity, devoid of hope, fear, whatever you just said. Exactly that. Free of desire, pride, sin. So it sounds like bhakt has to be very pristine, clear, pure, a being, at one level internally. And I don't know about the others, but the life I lead, very different in today's time and age. So how do you kind of get to that, or at least take a step in that general direction of being pristine, clear, and pure?
In this chapter itself, and Lord's phrase Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. And there's a very famous doha, which a lot of you must be reciting every day as part of if you read the Hanuman Chalisa, which is opening doha, which says, Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj Nijaman Mukur Sudha, Barnau Raghubar Vimal Jas Jodayak Hal Char. Now, what are these char phal? These char phal are Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. And in our system, everything is very logical and rational. Everything flows. Even the order in which these four are listed, there is a method to it. And the reason why I'm saying it is, look at it this way. Dharma, again, I'm coming back to my favorite word, dharma. Dharma here really means righteousness and doing your duty. Two elements of dharma. I mean, dharma, the poorest translation of the word dharma is religion, by the way. Dharma here means doing your duty righteously. But first of all, it says, do your dharma righteously. If you are a student, do your dharma righteously. If you are a journalist, do your dharma righteously. If you are a government servant like me, do your dharma righteously. If you are a lawyer like you, do your dharma righteously. Just do your dharma and your duty righteously. And doing that thing righteously, with honesty, with dedication, with sincerity, earn your earth. Earn your earth, earn your livelihood doing that thing righteously. Right? That will help you fulfill your desires. Calm here means desires. Right? Calm here really means desires. So earn your livelihood righteously and fulfill your desires. That will lead to moksha. So dharma, arth, kam, moksha. Earn righteously, fulfill your worldly desires, leads to moksha. Period. Nothing complicated about it. Nothing complicated about it. Lord Ram also says there, that if you live your life without any deviousness, without any enmity with everyone, just do your work selflessly, diligently, even if you don't remember it. There's a very famous, again, part of our scriptures is something called Bhagavad Gita. I really don't have the time to explain Bhagavad Gita to you all. But Bhagavad Gita is again something which actually gels with what you think. You have a butcher who has attained enlightenment. And when a saint asks him that, how have you attained enlightenment? He says, nothing. I have just done my duty righteously. I have performed my task as a butcher righteously. That's my job. That's the work I do. That's the work I have been assigned, because that gets the livelihood for my family. I have to look after my family. I have to look after my parents. I have to look after my wife, my children. So he does that work righteously and attains enlightenment. So do your work righteously, you'll attain enlightenment.
You make it sound very easy.
It is.
And well, there are 2 chapters on easy. So I also made a note of that. So there is Sulabh Sukhat Marg and Saral Path. And then there is Sulabh and Sukhat. So what's the difference in these two? And they are in a particular chronology. One is 19, other is 22. And it basically strips down to make it very, very easy, like you just did. So was there a folding required in the second one? How does it work?
You know, as our spiritual traditions evolved from Gyan to Bhakti, we were lucky to experience this immense Bhakti movement in this country. And it spread all across the country. It was in Maharashtra, it was in Punjab, it was in Rajasthan, it was in Braj, it was in Awadh, it was in Bengal, it was all across the country. And what Bhakti movement really meant was, it really meant that you really need to have any complicated relationship with Almighty. I mean, you can reach Him. And most of the Bhakts were very simple people. And they reached enlightenment, and they reached Him without any complication. I mean, Bhakti is this thing. And frankly speaking, Bhakti, to my mind, is the easiest path. Lord Ram says here, very interestingly, that he says the Karam Yoga is like a raft to cross the ocean of the worldly affairs. Gyan Marg is like a boat, and he says Bhakti is like a bridge. You just walk across. Bhakti is easy. Bhakti is saral. Bhakti is sukha. It is very pleasing. It is sulabh. It can be done anywhere. It can be done at all times. And Bhakti is, you know, Bhakti is that emotion. It is that bhav. It is that it is that love for Him. It is that love for the infinite. I mean, it is. I always like to say, Bhakti is the infinite love for the infinite.
Beautiful.
You know, that's the way I like. So, Bhakti is that Sundar, Sulabh, Sukhad Marg that Lord Ram talks of. And, you know, in Bhakti, is a very interesting Sufi story I'm reminded of, how Bhakti works. They say that there was this Bhakt who, and in Sufi tradition, the relationship between the Lord and the seeker, the Bhakt, is of lovers. So the seeker knocks at the door of his lover, and अंदर से आवाज आती है, कौन है? So he says, मैं हूं. The door doesn't open. He realizes his mistake, that there is still that I, there is the ego. I is that you still believe that I am there. So I is the biggest problem that we have, the ego that we have. He comes back after some time and again knocks. And again, the voice comes from inside, says, कौन है? He says, तू ही है. The door doesn't open. Because अगर तू है, तो मैं भी हूँगा. अगर तू है, तो मैं भी हूँगा. So the division has still not gone. He goes back. He comes back a third time and he knocks. अंदर से आवाज आती है, कौन है? There is silence and the door opens.
Beautiful.
That's what is bhakti. In Gyan, you try to know Him. Gyan is attaining that knowledge to know Him. Bhakti is that emotion where you dissolve in him, you merge in him. You don't want to know him. You don't want to see him. You just want to merge in him. You just want to dissolve your identity. The biggest obstacle for all of us on the spiritual journey is ego, ahankar, I. मैं कर सकता हूँ, कर्ता भाव जो रहता है, मैं ही कर सकता हूँ ये. In bhakti, ahankar falls at the first step because you surrender. Until such time that you realize that you have not surrendered and your ahankar has not fallen, you have not even taken the first step on the bhakti mark. On the Gyan mark, ahankar a lot of times does not even fall at the pinnacle. It returns to haunt you. Because in the Gyan mark, a lot of times, so bhakti leads to Gyan. But Gyan without bhakti could actually lead to a downfall. Because it is bhakti which demolishes ahankar. And once ahankar is demolished,
then Gyan can add up. Yeah. Thanks. So again, I have to refer to my notes for this one because this is in Dhriti Smata, in Ramcharitamanas 7.11, 7.4, Kaka Bhushandiji uses the preparation of ghee as his metaphor. The sacred milk of righteousness, churned in the fire of selfless will, cooled with Shama and Santosh. Then it goes on, basically it says fortitude and equanimity has to happen. Shri Krishna calls this Satvik Dhriti in Gita in 18.33. It's such a complicated cocktail. When everything is breaking around you, and which way do you go first? What do you pick out of the two?
As I mentioned, there are different paths to vision. It doesn't, I can't really point out, and I don't think anyone of us can really, even a guru can actually tell you which one to pick up first. It just happens. I'll give you, I'll try and give you an example. Suppose you want to see the Statue of Liberty. So what do? You sort of take a flight from here to Delhi, to take another flight to New York, take a car to reach the ferry terminal, then take a ferry and reach your destination. Suppose you have to sort of go to the Red Fort, you probably drive down to the Red Fort. You have to visit the Gateway of India, you probably take a flight to Mumbai, and then you take a car. So what are you doing here? In the first case, you are using 3 different modes of transport. You're using by air, you are using by road, and then by ferry. In other cases, you are using 2. In some cases, you're using only 1. So similarly, whether you are using a combination of Karam Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, or you are using 2 of them, or you're using only 1, that depends upon each individual's journey. This journey is everyone's own to make. Nobody can do it for you. What does matter and what has happened is the presence of a guru. Now, it's like going on a trek. You can do it on your own. But if you get a local guide, he tells you, "Sahab, is taraf se jao, ye acha hai." The guru is like the local guide that you have when you go on a trek. Trek aapko hi karna hai, शिखर तक आपको ही पहुंचना है, लेकिन गुरु वो गाइड है जो आपको बताता है कि इस रास्ते से चले जाओ, ये रास्ता अच्छा है. Now, how to do it, what to do it is again your journey to take. What comes first? To my mind, simple steps, doing your work selflessly, with love, doing your duty towards your work, towards your family, that takes care of it. That's my mind is the place that you need to start.
And between fortitude and equanimity, which one is something and how to cultivate? That's also very important.
Fortitude is what is called a therapy, patience. And equanimity of mind comes with patience. Equanimity is that stillness that you have within you. Tulsidas ji here tries to bridge these two. In Vibhishan Gita, he actually, depending upon, because Vibhishan Gita to my mind is something that is probably more useful for working people like us. As I say that for working people like us, for people who are quote unquote in the Grastha ashram, it is probably more useful to do a combination of Karam Yoga and Bhakti Yoga rather than pursuing Gyan Yoga. It's a bit difficult for us. For probably a sannyasi in the Ramakrishna mission or Chinmaya mission, probably Gyan Yoga and Bhakti Yoga would probably be much more because they are not really into Karam Yoga. So in Vibhishan Gita, Tulsidasi says, Sauraj Dhiraj Tihirat Chaka, where he says that Shaurya and Dharya have to combine. And there he says, Ke bal vivek dam parit gore, daya kshama samata raj jore. There he couples vivek and samta. Sometimes that equanimity of mind that comes with wisdom, that comes with dharya. So you first have to sort of try and practice dharya. So that comes through what I call as awareness. You have first got to be aware of your situation. At every time, the practice starts with awareness. You got to be aware of your emotions. You got to be aware of what you're going through. And every action that you take, if you're taking it with awareness, it's fine. So it starts with awareness, cultivate fortitude, probably it'll lead you to equanimity of mind.
All right, thank you. Now I come to ego. In the Bhakti chapters, Bhakti Mukti, Chintamani, Sanjeevani, Sadhana Siddhi, it's explained that Bhakti is not received, it's earned. And it means it's not really a transaction, it's something which is more of a gift. And one of the key components is going to be resolution of ego. Now, until you don't disappear, like you said, unless there is silence, it doesn't work. In a generation, I think probably all of us in this room, we are an I, me, myself generation, which only continues to aggravate as we're moving in generational. So how does it add up to today's time and age, and how do you start going into the line of thought of dissolving ego in the current context?
These are my favorite chapters in the book, by the way. Bhakti भाव है, भक्ति इमोशन है, भक्ति ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं है, भक्ति लॉजिकल नहीं है, भक्ति मैथमेटिकल नहीं है. Bhakti is not that you do X amount of effort and this is what is guaranteed. Like when you do Dhyan Yoga, you are told that if you do this kind of exercise, this is probably the result that you're going to. Bhakti doesn't work that way. And Bhakti, as I say, it's an effortless effort. Bhakti sadhan bhi hai, Bhakti sadhya bhi hai, Bhakti sadhana bhi hai, Bhakti siddhi bhi hai, Bhakti sadhak bhi hai, Bhakti Bhagwan bhi hai. And very interestingly, Bhakti se Bhagwan milta hai aur Bhagwan se Bhakti milti hai. So this is a very, very interesting circularity here. Bhakti se Bhagwan milta hai aur Bhagwan se Bhakti milti hai. Because that's what it says, that Bhakti Bhagwan ki kripa se milti hai. Bhakti is not earned, it is received. आपका भाव जाता है, वहां से कृपा आती है. Bhakti उसकी कृपा से मिलती है. And so most of the bhakts, realized souls that you know of and come across are people with no great scholarship, no elite lineage. They were all simple people. While Jnani, Manushya, that was Gautam Buddha or Mahavir that we hear of, they were all princes.
Yes.
But what do you hear of the bhakts? Whether it is a Sant Tukaram or Sant Kabir or Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Sant Surdas, Sant Tulsidas, they were all simple people, normal householders. Bhakti bhav se milti hai. Now, Bhakti, as I said, also dissolves the ego. You know, there are 5 different, 5 kalesh hai jo insaan ke liye. And those 5 kalesh are, the first one is called avidya. And avidya is really ignorance. Ignorance which leads to the delusion of I. मैं हूं, मेरा देहाभिमान. उस delusion से उससे होता है, the delusion leads to this dehavan, I am the body. And that leads to the second part, which is called asamita, which is called ego. It leads to ego. So Avidya leads to asamita. The second Kalesh, which leads to rag and dvesh, both attachment and aversion, with things, with people, with objects, with others. And it culminates in what is called abhinivesh. Abhinivesh is false claim to the body and the fear of death. All of us sitting here are fear of dying, have a fear of death. No one wants to die. All of us wants to live forever. Nobody wants to die. I don't. I don't know. I don't know that. None of us wants to die. But that comes from the delusion that I am the body. If I know I am not the body, again comes to this fact that if I don't fall in love with the hotel room I stayed in last night or 2 days ago. I knew this was temporary. I just sort of checked out. So if I get the same feeling about my body, that I am not the body, I'll have to check out of this someday. What's the problem? What's the problem? Now, in bhakti, this ego, which is born out of the delusion, falls at the first stage because you surrender everything to him. Bhakti comprises 3 important parts. The first is Shraddha, which is that immense love that you have for your Aradhya. The second is constant remembrance of him, the Simran part of it. And the third is Sharanagati or Samarpan that comes. The surrender part is something that is most important. Because bhakti is surrender, bhakti is Sharanagati, bhakti is Samarpan. That is where bhakti takes you. And that dissolves your ego. Ultimately, the final frontier is ahankar. In our system, again, as I mentioned earlier, all these 5, you would have heard this Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. Why does Ahankar come at last? Because it is the final frontier. The first is desire. Unfulfilled desire leads to Krodh. And a fulfilled desire leads to Lobh. You want to have more of it. So Kam, Krodh, Lobh, and then comes attachment to it. And the delusion that I can do it. So Moh is both attachment and delusion. And finally, it leads to that karta bhav, that ego, that ahankar, that I can do it. I have been able to fulfill my desire. So ahankar is the final frontier. Bhakti demolishes that final frontier the first. That's the beauty of bhakti.
So I want to ask you, just for a second, I'm taking a detour. How was your journey through this? How did it start? How did it get you to the point where you're, because see, education, career, everything required an effort. And you've, like we saw, the 100, 200 on this Chinese and everything you've been doing. How did this transition and detour happen?
Well, honestly, I don't think I can embark on the journey. Probably what I am doing right now is getting information, downloading it from the net on how to do, what is the best path, getting the maps together, getting the brochures together as we would do in old times, and trying to figure out. I don't think I've even embarked on that journey. This journey it's a long one. But as they say, that famous Chinese proverb, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Say it in Chinese.
Sorry?
Say it in Chinese.
You'll have to tell Chikara to do that. I'm out of practice for that now. This journey is a difficult one. It's not even a journey which will take days or weeks or months or years. You don't even know if that will be over in a few births, or whether it will need some cycles of births. In our system, it says 84 lakh yoni hoti hai. You have to undergo that cycle. How many cycles you do? But the satisfying part is that you carry forward the pluses and the minuses both. So what one tries to do is that in every birth, you try to accumulate your pluses and embark and cover the distance as much as you want. My anecdotes, it's like, say, traveling from here to Kanyakumari, based on your, that's probably your end point. Based on your performance, based on your Sanchit Karma, the Lord probably gives you a ticket from here on the Shatabdi to Delhi, probably an executive class ticket. But suppose your Agami Karma are bad, you've misbehaved with the fellow passengers, you've not treated that porter well, you've not treated that waiter well. Well, when you disembark at Delhi, Lord will say, fine, now you probably need to take a detour and get onto the passenger train to Guwahati. Your destination is Kanyakumari, but then the next train in the next berth that you take is towards Guwahati on a passenger train. God bless. So your effort has to be that. Personally, I would say that each one of us should just endeavor to move in that direction. And that again starts with awareness and the will and the thought of moving in that direction. I would even say a desire to move in that direction, because the ultimate goal is attaining that state of desirelessness, transcending those desires.
So I have a lot more questions, but my time runs out, it seems. I think I'll open it to the audience for a bit, otherwise I'll have to get you offline for the questions. Any questions from the audience? Can somebody give a mic there?
I think we should be able to hear you.
Yeah, hi sir. My name is Anirudh Tewari, and it was a lovely session for you. Thank you so much. So my question is, as you mentioned, that dharma, the duty, the attached duty by dharma. How would one understand what's the duty which comes with it? So I'll just give you an option. Let's say there are two mothers. One mother teaches his child in every step via her experience. So that child will know which steps to take, the right steps. He will already know that. One mother has thought that I want my child to learn via his experience. So she will let the child experience on his own. So I just want to know how this mother will come to know that what is the right duty of the mother. How would they understand their own duty?
See,
I hope my question.
I get it. I get it. See, let me please have a seat. Please have a seat. You see, dharma, the word dharma, there are a couple of things, a couple of points here. One is the word dharma means righteousness. The second meaning of the word dharma is duty. But there is one other important meaning of the word dharma, which is dharma is that innate quality which defines you. जैसे आग का धर्म है जलाना. आपने कभी ठंडी आग नहीं सुनी होगी. कभी सुना है कि किसी ने आग को पकड़ा, आग में हाथ डाला, वो ठंडी थी, जलानी. आग का धर्म है जलाना, वो जलाएगी. पानी का धर्म है शीतलता, ठंडा होता है पानी. Of course, अगर वो आग का धर्म ले लेगा तो गर्म हो जाएगा. So it is only when the quality of heat, fire gets into water that becomes hot. Otherwise, पानी शीतल है. आग का धर्म है जलाना, आग का धर्म. The dharma of the mother here, that question that you asked, is to teach the child. What she teaches the child is her wisdom. That's her karma. That's not her dharma. That's a part of her karma. What is she teaching her child? What is her dharma is to teach a child, bring up the child. Now, basically, all of us are humans. And a lot of times, thank you so much for bringing up this question, because that gives me an opportunity to explain the shlok that I mentioned, which is 18.66. A lot of people ask this question, that what does Lord Krishna mean when he says, Sarv dharman paritajya, sabhi dharmo ko chhod ke? What is he saying? What is he saying? What dharma is he asking Arjuna to shed? Righteousness, duty, what is it that he is asking Arjuna to shed? Now, to actually understand this, personally, I had to look for the answer, and I got the answer from Ramcharitmanas. If you read these two things together, then you get an answer. What dharma is he talking of? Because in Ramcharitmanas, Lord Ram tells this, which is again a mirroring of his. तज मद मोह कपट छल नाना करो सदित ही साधु समाना. कि जब आप अहंकार मोह कपट तज के मेरे पास आओगे तब मैं आपको साधु की तरह बना दूंगा. That is exactly what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. Sar dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraj. So the word dharma means कि आप जब कपट छल ये तज के हमारे पास आओगे, मोह तज के आओगे, तब आएंगे. इंसान आज भी हम लोगों में 5 चीजें बड़ी वो है, काम क्रोध लोभ मोह अहंकार are all ingrained in us. When we are able to shed these and take the Lord's Sharanagati, that is what we will be able to. Then it is at that time that he says that I'll sort of rid you of all sins. That is what Dharma Lord Krishna is telling us. Tajamad moh kapat sannana. So to understand, so a lot of times when you have to understand these scriptures, you have to read them in conjunction. And you have to read these scriptures which are separated, centuries apart. Thank you so much for asking that question.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
And so I just love the concept of the check-in, check-out concept that you just mentioned. It's a fantastic exemplification and an anecdote. But my question to you is, sir, you mentioned about checked in and checked out. Is there a strategy or a structure which says, you have a smooth check-in and you have a smooth check-out and you have a comfortable stay? I'm talking about the body staying inside, the soul staying inside the body. So is there a mechanism? Do you advocate that? Shouldn't we advocate it? Because जो भगवान ने बॉडी दिया है उसको बहुत प्यार से संवार के रखना is like valuing God. So any thoughts on those lines?
You're absolutely right. I mean, this is a lot of times, God resides within us, the temple of God. So we have to look after it. We have to look after this body as long as we are, the custodians. So one of the concepts of this is that it's not the ownership of the body, it's the trusteeship that you should think of. That you are just a trustee of this body. This body belongs to Him. Everything belongs to Him. And that creation belongs to Him. Similarly, your body also belongs to Him. You are also part of that energy soul. And the second part of your question, what should we be doing? I think we are given a very simple solution here. And that is what Amit also said, that it sounds very simple. Which is that if you are going to do our duty diligently, sincerely, according to, we are doing a dharma. अगर हम अपने धर्म का पालन कर रहे हैं, and dharma here would mean doing your duty righteously. If you are a teacher, do your duty righteously. Do your dharma as a teacher righteously. Do your dharma as a grast righteously. Do your dharma as a mother righteously. Do your dharma as a father, as a son, as a husband. Do your dharma righteously. Dharma here would become duty, but doing it righteously. And if you're doing that again, as I said, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. If you're doing that, that will take you to moksha. That will take you to moksha. That, to my mind, is something that we all need to sort of do. Simply, if we are able to do that part, we would cover a lot of distance.
Also, this book has very interesting detours it takes. So a lot of annoying questions which we have, which we don't ever bother to ask, they automatically get answered by the different chapters. They're not lengthy chapters, by the way. It's about 3-4 days if you take it easy. In 3-4 days, you can take the first read, and then you probably have to take 1 chapter a day. And you start getting, we used to have this thing back in the day, कि हम एक चीज ढूंढते थे, like you were saying, like I'm answer ढूंढ रहे हैं. The index will give you the answers to a lot of questions you'll have. It'll be very interesting to take a look if anyone.
Yeah, one thing I just like to suggest to my readers is that, you can read this book cover to cover, no problem. But you can also read it section-wise if you want. You can pick up the 3rd section first, or the 2nd section first, or the first one. You can read that way. Or you can even read any of the chapters individually. But my suggestion here would be that read 1 chapter a day and try to contemplate and reflect on it. That is my suggestion to you, because I would really, because the objective of writing this book is to nudge you all to think, pause, reflect, and look for that stillness within you. I mean, this is. I would like this to be a nudge for all of you. I mean, this is no scripture per se. These books are no scriptures per se. They don't hold any very great words of wisdom in that sense, because it's just borrowed from the two great spiritual texts that I have. I've just captured them and encapsulated them for you. But try to read them, try to think on your own, reflect on your own, and you will find your own answers.
He's been modest, he's done a very good job of interpreting them.
Manoj, you had something.
I'm sure. So it's okay. I mean, while doing your duty righteously, if you need to sack someone, is that right?
Absolutely. It's part of a duty. I mean, a butcher, as I said, Bhagavad Gita talks of a butcher. A butcher said, butchering animals is part of my duty. It's his duty. So, for example, a soldier kills a human and somebody murders someone out here. The punishment that even the law gives to the two for killing or taking a human life is different. So we view taking a human life differently even within our worldly affairs. So as far as that is concerned, second somebody is part of your duty. Just do it.
Thank you.
So how do you work on the doership or ego? I consider doership and the ego, they correlate with each other. Like, how do you overcome? You are handling so many things. You are in a prime position. तो आप doership से बाहर कैसे आते?
You're absolutely right. I mean, doership is karta bhav. I am the doer. Karta bhav hai mere mein. Now, the way to go about it is think about yourself being, as I said, 11.33 Bhagavad Gita, nimitta matra. You are just an instrument of His will. You are just carrying out His will. But being nimitta matra it's not something that you can master. Being nimitta matra, you have to just live it. Every breath that you take has to be with that intent that you are just a nimitta matra. You are just an instrument of His will. So being a nimitta matra, thinking about Him all the time, that is something. Whatever action that you take, when it is devoted to Him, thinking that it is just, you are just acting as per His will. Her question, if you have to sack someone, well, that's His will. I'm just an instrument. The sacking is part of His will. You are just an instrument. But at the same time, when you're giving somebody a job also, then you're not giving it. He's giving it. You're just an instrument. Either way, you can't sort of cherry pick it. That, the sacking belongs to him and the job belongs to me. That's the only thing. Yeah.
Hello. Sir, I just want to give my observation. Bible says charity is doubly blessed. It blesses the giver and it blesses the taker. How here is blessed is the person who was asking questions, such profound questions, Mr. Amit, and blessed is the person who was answering such profound questions, and blessed is the audience who was enjoying it. Thank you very much.
If I'm missing anything, anyone at the back? There's somebody here.
Yeah. Two questions.
Again, an observation here. Especially in India, older sparrow, because people knew this, there's so much hope with you being in bureaucracy, now bringing this concept back. निमित्त मात्र वाला कॉन्सेप्ट अगर आपके मुंह से आ रहा है, there is so much of hope for the country. वो दोबारा सोने की चिड़िया वाली hope.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, my question may be on the same lines as what ma'am just expressed. And sir, my question to you is not to the author of the book, but more to the individual that we know, especially the officer that we know. Righteousness is one word which is kind of the flavor of this entire discussion here. Call it righteousness or dharma. What I want to ask you, sir, is that do you sometimes find it in conflict with more earthly and worldly situations that one may find oneself in, especially as a bureaucrat? Is it in conflict with certain personal aspirations that one may otherwise think of, or one may otherwise feel that one is deserving of? Does that quest to stick to that righteousness sometimes get in the way of those more earthly desires that one may think that one deserves? I may want you to answer that more as a bureaucrat, considering the times that we live in.
Thanks, Vipul. Certainly life has its challenges, and we all are living in the age of dualities. So there would always be challenges, there would always be choices that one has to make. It's an era of choices that one has to make. But again, the issue is choices entirely yours to make. What choice you want to make. As far as the issue goes in terms of desires coming into it, definitely. Desires, aspirations are something that do present to you one of those choices. The issue is, what do you decide? Whether you want to fulfill your desires, your aspirations, or you want to stick to your chosen path, the chosen path of your righteousness or whatever the dharma is. So, to my mind, the conduct of every individual has to be dharmic, which is as per your duty. If you are a lawyer, your duty as a lawyer is to defend your client. That's your duty, whatever it is. Now, that is the duty of, because your client has entrusted his or her case on you. So you perform your duty to the best of your abilities. As long as you're doing that, to my mind, that is righteousness. Just that question again. If you have to make a choice, which is a bitter choice, which in some ways may appear to be uncomfortable to others or to some people, if it's something which is bitter, as officers, we have had to make this choice so many times where we feel that this choice would make a lot of people uncomfortable. But then, if it is something that is the right thing to do in those circumstances, we've done that. Thank you.
So we are restricted to the back seat. If there's anybody who has a question, probably have to come in the front row, please. We won't be able to see you raising your hand.
Namaskar, I'm Dr. Sudhir. First of all, you talked about so many Gitas. Probably I believe the entire auditorium is with me in saying today we heard Amit Anirudh Gita. Am I right? Yeah, that's it. Secondly, since this was a profound talk, I have been teaching philosophy all my life in philosophy in university. I was very somber and very, not always serious, because philosophy or profundity goes well. But both gentlemen were smiling. That was really something which really took me to a different world. And today's session, I feel, it did raise questions in our hearts. It settled so many questions, even unasked questions. But my just little one query which comes to my mind is how all these profound talks should reach to the next generation. That is my question. How Dr. Anirudh wishes to take it. Through writing books, fine, but it has to really spread and percolate down to the youngest mind. And Nitiji would be, she's taking care of that younger generation. How it reaches, that's my question, if you can answer this.
I'll be happy to come and talk to your students anytime you want me to. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Sada. Thank you. I think it was
Going once and going twice, gone. Thank you so very much for a lovely opportunity.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much, and thank you all. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you.
So first of all, Anirudh sir, thank you so much. I'm sure that on behalf of everyone here, I can say that if this was just a glimpse of the Gyan that we have in the book, we can't just, wait to go home and open our copies and read more about it. It was indeed very enriching and enlightening, and thank you so much for that session. Also, a heartfelt thank you to Amit sir. Honestly, there could be no one better than you to lead us through this conversation here with Anirudh sir. The depth of clarity and the thought that you both had, it is immensely, immensely amazing. And thank you so much for leading us through this session. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this truly enriching afternoon towards its conclusion, let's just take a moment, as the book itself asks us to pause and reflect upon what was unfolded here today. We witnessed the birth of a book into this world. We heard words of wisdom from its extraordinary author. We sat in on a keynote that reminded us what it means to build with purpose. We watched that book take its first ceremonial breath in the world. We were a part of a conversation that showed us ancient wisdom is not a relic, it is a compass. And we asked questions because that too is a form of contemplation. From the very first moment of this afternoon to the last question from the floor, this gathering has been in every sense a collective and a meaningful pause. Exactly the kind of pause that Sir writes about, exactly that this kind of the world needs more of. And to bring this afternoon to a close, there is no one more fitting than someone who has dedicated her life to building spaces exactly like this one, where wisdom finds a welcome and where the right conversations are not just permitted, they are cherished. Please welcome the person behind elevating Chitkara International Schools to its present stature with a huge round of applause. Please welcome Dr. Niyati Chitkara.
Namaskar, everyone. After this session, I don't know how would I dare to summarize the session. I just can't, but I can just appreciate some fantastic words that you coined and defined beautifully during this session, sir. So first of all, salute to you for a wonderful vision, fantastic definition, and very insightful, meaningful discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, some beautiful words coined by sir was prarabdha, karma, gyan, paristhiti, manusthiti, bhakti, krodh, lobh. I think the beautiful concept of checked in, checked out, I already appreciated. But for me personally, this session was like a kind of, purification session or something, which I would call a spiritual bathing, which ultimately, made me felt totally drenched and immersed into the head, heart, and soul, everything in cohesion. So thank you so much. Personally, it really added a lot to all of us and particularly to me. Thank you so much. But yet I'm here to give a formal vote of thanks to everybody present here. And there's a beautiful line embedded in the very philosophy of the book that we celebrated today: pause, contemplate, and progress. And I here stand to close this afternoon. I find myself doing exactly that. Pausing, because some afternoons deserve to be paused in, not rushed through. And this, without question, has been one of them. Before I move any further, I would like to take a moment, first of all, to extend my sincere gratitude to the man himself who made this gathering meaningful. Thank you so much, Anirudh sir. Thank you so much for adding so much to the entire talk and to all of us today. Ram Sewak is quite extraordinary, sir. You've brought Bhagavad Gita and Sri Ramcharitmanas, two of the most profound spiritual texts in human civilization, into gentle dialogue, as though they were old companions rediscovering their shared truths. That single idea alone makes one want to open the book immediately. But you go further. You don't merely draw parallels, you make them alive. Karma Yoga becomes something one can carry into an ordinary working day. Bhakti feels less like ritual and more like steady, quiet trust. Gyan no longer appears distant and exclusive, but like an inner light already present. 54 essays, each a moment of reflection, each a gentle pause that brings stillness and clarity to a world in constant motion. In this work, you often discover the modern reader offering something rarely granted: permission to slow down, to look inward, and to engage with profound questions without the pressure of final answers. And this afternoon conversation seems to extend the book itself. Your responses carried such clarity, warmth, that room fell into a rare shared stillness. Still, I would also like to continue thanking a lot of people here who are present today. We are also deeply honored to have Dr. Ashoki Chitkara, our worthy Chancellor Chitkara University, with us this afternoon. So thank you so much for sharing a beautiful presentation and a lovely vision that you always shower on all of us. Thank you so much. I would also like to gratefully thank Mrs. Prem Tewari. Thank you so much for your benign presence. And thank you so much for blessing us today, with your aura and your blessings all over. Special thanks to Mrs. Tuhina Tewari. And I would like to mention here, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful musical hymn and the shloka that you were hearing has been sung by the wonderful lady. It was so melodious. And thank you so much for adding that to the entire event and to all of us. Also, a special note to Mr. Amit Sharma for moderating conversation with such finesse, sir. Your questions were thoughtful, very engaging, and you brought natural rhythm to the dialogue that elevated the entire session. We're equally delighted by the presence of Dr. Vivek Gulati. Sir, your presence brings quite distinction to this occasion, and we deeply appreciate your time, generosity in being with us. To all our distinguished guests today, thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot. And thank you for giving us your afternoon full of attention. Your presence has made it extremely meaningful and extremely valuable. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for the book, for the conversation, for this afternoon, and for reminding us in most of the graceful way possible that in middle of all our doing, there's immense value in simply being. We look forward, sir, with very great excitement to whatever your pen takes you next. Thank you so very much, and would like to invite everybody to join us for lunch. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Anirudh sir?